of the concrete and just left a 2-inch space here to set the forms down on top of those 2x6s. Then of course I had to tie them together when I got them up there. The bridge builder did put the forms together upside down for me, which created a problem. These here 2 form pieces go this way and these vertical ones are up here. That piece should have been reversed. These long pieces should have been on top, and later on I had problems with this form bucking out here at this joint when it was filled up with concrete and I was vibrating it. It created some bad problems. So I raised the forms by myself. I couldn't hire anybody to do this. It was just too dangerous. And I had to, make a little harness for myself so I could clip onto these rebars so I could have 2 hands to work with after a while. But I finally got the forms all together and bolted in place. See, they've got these big bolts go through. They're about 4 feet long. They tie the forms together. I've got a 2x6 across here and a 2x4 across there to keep this thing from tipping over. I kind of think at this point that when I put concrete in here, that the whole thing's going to tip over. It's going to be a disaster. I'm going to just bury the whole mess and go home and forget the whole thing. I couldn't see any way that I could do all this kind of work and build a shaft by myself. I'm still pumping water with that pump there. Now I've got a large blue container there, so I keep that full to run this pump day and night continuously. And I have to carry 2 6.5 gallon containers in my left arm and 1 6.5 gallon container in my right arm every day down there. It cost me $550 a month for gasoline to run that pump for a year. So I poured this little slab up here first for a little electrical shed. This is the crane that's going to do the pouring for me. He's still there. Okay, we poured it and it held up. It didn't tip over, so I guess I'm going to build a shaft. And you can see my adobe steps going down here where I carry the gas down to this, and then down this ladder to this pump here. I got my welder and torch up there. I just bring the cables down here to use them. So I had to have some dirt to fill in around here, so I pushed a bunch of dirt down with my tractor from up above. Get some focus again. So I threw all this red clay down, and I put this red clay around the shaft. And then I had to take these forms off and then raise them, and I just kept filling it around the shaft. This is where I was digging the dirt out with the tractor. Now this dirt does not have any gold in it. That dirt there does. You can see the difference in the color. That is, you can even see the coarse vein material in there. Now that back wall is the wall that was so high. This wall here, it's down a little bit lower. It's on the low side of a hill. This was a hill here that I was working on. But I'm coming up in stages, 12 foot at a time. So now I've filled in around there, and what I do is I fill in on this side, I drive the machine over there, and I put 6 feet of dirt on that side, drive on top of it, and put 3 foot of dirt on this side, and then I drive back and forth and pack it down. I wasn't throwing much dirt down at this point. I started digging off the walls to fill in. It was a little bit easier. That doesn't look very menacing. It looks like there's no problem with that water, but now I can't, that's quicksand. I can't stand in there and do nothing. I can't put ladders even down here. They just sink out of sight. So I have to sort of hang on to things like a chimpanzee and scratch this dirt out of the way and pull the bolt out and get the pins out and everything and get these forms off of there and raised up. But I just kept working on it. It took me 2 months to break these forms down and raise them up and pour again. It took the bridge builder 2 days to put them on. It took me 2 months to break them and raise them each time. Now I went up to take a picture of the excavator. When I got to the top of this wall, it caved in onto the machine. It took me 2 hours to get the machine out of there. I couldn't move it. It was buried. I had one other cave in one day when I was in the machine. I had the door shut because I thought it might cave in on me, and it caved in the window, pushed it in onto my lap, and filled the whole cab up with dirt from floor to ceiling. And I had to dig my way out of the machine by hand. And I proceeded to dig my machine out. So there I'm ready to pour another section. Now I have to use a hydraulic crane. And I told the bridge builder pulled his cable crane out, and I told him I was going to bring in the largest hydraulic crane I could find. I guess, I don't know what this was, a 60 or 80 ton crane. You can see all the front tires it's got. And the bridge builder said that this crane would not be able to lift enough concrete to fill my hat. And I told him, well, he's crazy. I said, as big as that crane is, I think it can lift, 80 ton or something. And he said, it will not lift enough concrete to fill your hat. And he said, you're going to be lucky if you can pour a section with that. And I don't know why, if he knew this, he wouldn't leave his cable crane there and help me out, but he didn't. So he set up the crane up there. The concrete bucket was in front of this crane, and the man says, Wally, and the bucket weighs 2,000 pounds. He said, would you get your tractor and pick up that bucket and carry it around the back of my machine for me? I said, well, you're crazy. You've got an 80-ton crane here. Pick it up yourself. He said, no, I can't lift it off the front of the machine. I said, I think I got a problem here. I know the bridge builder was right at this point, because these machines are very unstable. This is the hose we're pumping water out of. It goes through a 6-inch white plastic pipe through that pile of dirt, and then it goes down to the Second Broad River by way of a branch. So I hired 2 guys finally to help me. Junior Fowler and his brother, and that's me in the blue hat. And we started to pour. Now the bridge builder was right. The man couldn't put but half, he could only half fill this bucket with concrete, and he couldn't hardly get to us because his machine was tipping over. Now I would catch the bucket and pull it to myself. I would pull the bucket open. I would vibrate the concrete down. These guys were just sort of watching me the whole day, so I realized I wasn't going to have to hire 2 guys to help me anymore, because they did absolutely nothing. I had to do all the work. As you can see, there's a lot of concrete down in the water here. The man couldn't get the concrete to us with that hydraulic crane. And that bucket is only half full of concrete. I just flipped it open there when the picture was taken. It's only half full of concrete, and we're almost to the top there now. We're almost done pouring. Focus this again here. It took 6.5 hours to pour this. We almost got cold joints in there because that concrete was starting to set up in the trucks. The trucks were stacked up above there, and it only took the cable crane 2 hours to pour a section, and it was all, he kept up with the trucks. It was all good joints, but this was ridiculous with this hydraulic crane. That was all I had. So there it's poured. I stripped the forms off, and I got my 2x6s bolted to the side there to rest the next set of forms on. And I'd raised up the forms. Now you can see when I put those channel irons, I've only got them up about 3 feet above the form, so I can put the next one on there. So I won't have to shinny up the channel irons anymore. I've learned my lessons. There's the forms there. I have to pick those up and set them on the outside here and then clamp them in place. Having trouble getting this in focus here. Now I'm finally going to be able to drive my machine out of there. I've been underwater, 50 foot underwater for over a year, keeping this water pumped out day and night. I went through 14 brand new pumps. I just completely wore them out. And I don't know how many thousands of dollars worth of gasoline. So finally I made this road. I fixed it up with my tractor best I could. And I was going to drive the machine out. And it was quite steep, and it looked kind of dangerous. And so I filled my bucket up with dirt, and I held my bucket out in front of the machine. And I went up the hill here, and I got up here. I started to turn, and my bucket was way out there. Now this whole bank broke and fell off. And my machine tipped over and started falling down in the hole. I jumped off the machine and looked, and I could see it was moving very slowly, and it was going to fall on top of the shaft. And I quick said a prayer. I jumped out of the machine. I forgot which way to turn the levers, which pedal.